Yes, European action finally returns. It's not actually been on for that long, but we are slowly approaching the final in Munich, and that can only mean one thing. We've got the semi-finals to look at. The quarterfinals produced some good fixtures and some good matches, and at least one big shock that I don't think most sane people saw coming. It's looking like business as usual, but there's at least one polar bear in Arlington, Texas here. I think we can all guess who that is. But before we look at those semi-final predictions, let's take a look at how my predictions went for the quarterfinals. Oh boy. So the first fixture we're going to look at is Arsenal versus Real Madrid. Now I had backed Real Madrid to qualify, but I was wrong. Arsenal proved all of their doubters wrong by beating the reigning European champions 5-1 on aggregate. Declan Rice stole the show at the Emirates, scoring 2 phenomenal free kicks before the Gunners settled for a 1-1 draw in Spain. They even put the lid on the printer. I don't think anybody in Madrid saw this coming. And now Carlo Ancelotti is fucking off after this season because of, I don't know, he got done in by Arteta or something. It's crazy. It's crazy. But, you know, fair play to Arsenal. This could be the season that they finally get their hands on old big ears. But it still remains to be seen. And then we move on to Inter Milan versus Bayern Munich. I backed Bayern to progress, but it was Inter Milan who squeaked through against their German opponents. Inter ran out 2-1 winners in Bavaria before settling for a draw in Milan, progressing 4-3 in aggregate and denying Harry Kane another attempt at a trophy. You'll bloody pay for that. You'll bloody pay. And then we move on to Aston Villa versus PSG, who I'm currently repping today. I backed PSG to progress and I was finally correct with the prediction. Yes! PSG put 3 past the Villains in Paris and everyone thought the tie was wrapped up there and then. Villa had other ideas though, as they fought back in Birmingham and ran out 3-2 victors at Villa Park on the night. But that wasn't enough to overturn the deficit though, as PSG won 5-4 on aggregate. That clash in Birmingham though was some brilliant viewing. Probably the best thing that Birmingham has seen in quite a long time. And definitely not the trash that they're used to. And finally, Barcelona versus Borussia Dortmund. I backed Barcelona to progress, and they did so. We got half of our predictions right. That's pretty good going. Oh boy. Dortmund were thumped 4-0 in Barcelona. But the Black Yellows have a never say die attitude as they attempted to mount a comeback at Signal Iduna Park with Guirassy scoring 3 and Dortmund won 3-1. Still not enough to overcome Barca though, as the Blaugrana progressed, as they continue to look like one of the best teams in Europe, despite losing 3-1 to Dortmund. That's besides the point, they still look really good. So yes, unfortunately my predictions weren't up to the usual standard that we have set this season, only getting 2 out of 4 predictions correct. Maybe the ball knowledge isn't what I thought it was, and maybe football isn't as predictable as initially thought. Who would have guessed? We are one step closer to the final and the stakes have only gotten higher. Should make for some good viewing and hopefully some exciting results. But of course, only time will tell. So let's jump into those semi-final fixtures, and the first one we're going to look at is Arsenal versus PSG. I don't think anyone expected Arsenal to still be here at this point in the competition, but here they are. It was a very special night in North London that ultimately sealed the Gunners' qualification, as Real Madrid could not do anything against Arsenal really. They were shut out and just could not get going whatsoever. Domestically, Arsenal still find themselves second in the Prem. Practically impossible for them to win. So I imagine that their focus is solely going to be on that European dream to finally take home some European silverware. PSG have wrapped up Ligue 1 once again. What do you expect? And are well clear of the next closest side in Marseille. PSG normally walk Ligue 1, which is nothing new. But in Europe, they've been looking very, very strong. Both of these sides have not won the Champions League yet, and it's almost poetic that they're playing each other before the finals. Although a final between these two sides would have been pretty good, I think. You know, two teams who've not won it before giving their all to win their first European trophy. We still get it here, but in the final, it'd been a different game, you know. However, things are not looking too good for Arteta and the Gooners, though. They have many players who could miss out through injury or suspension for the unnamed 31-year-old man. Arguably, these aren't their most important players that are out. You know, Kai Havertz injured, probably for the best, to be honest. But there are still a few big misses here and there, with Gabriel being the biggest one. But luckily for Arsenal fans, Kivior has been performing well since getting the green light to start, performing well against Real Madrid in his first game, and, you know, looking pretty decent in the league as well. I know a lot of Arsenal fans were not happy about the prospect of him starting, but he's proved his doubters wrong, and, you know, he's reaping the rewards of one of his teammates being injured, so fair play to him. PSG are set to have a fully fit squad though, and they have some very good players at their disposal. Dembele is having the season of his life, with 43 goals and assists in 43 appearances in all competitions this season. They can also count on the likes of Kvaratskhelia, Lee Kang-in, Barcola and Doué, and many other quality players as well. PSG, you know, switched up how they want to target players, who they want to bring in, and they're reaping the rewards of running themselves like a proper football club instead of bringing in, you know, big names and just hoping they perform. They're more of a team than they were with the likes of Mbappe, Messi and Neymar playing, which is, you know, they play some good football, you know, then it's nice to watch. I know these two sides have played each other in the Champions League this season, in which Arsenal won 2-0, but I think things will be different this time around. I've got nothing to back that up, but, you know, PSG, they don't have to focus on the league anymore. They even had league games suspended while they were preparing for Champions League fixtures, which is just mental. Yeah, they've won Ligue 1, so they can just rest their more important players for these big clashes, and I think they give Arsenal a very good run for their money. It's a very tough one to call. Both teams have some really good players, but I'm going to have to back PSG here. As I've said, both sides do boast a wealth of quality players, but Arsenal have a lot more absentees, and PSG have a lot more quality at their disposal. Arsenal probably have only 1, 2, maybe 3 to push world-class players. PSG have only about 4, 5 or even 6, because their squad is stacked at the moment, and they have a player who's in the best form of his career, and he doesn't look like stopping anytime soon in Dembele. I think the Parisians will progress here. These fixtures could play host to some absolute old-timer games, or it could be some of the most haram terrorist ball you've ever seen if Arteta's involved. Only time will tell, but I'm going to back PSG to progress, but I'm expecting a nice, juicy set of fixtures here, and maybe a bit more Declan Rice magic. You never know. And then we move on to Barcelona versus Inter Milan. From two teams that have never won the Champions League to two teams that have won their fair share, Barcelona are continuing their really good season as they serve Dortmund to progress, who are facing Inter, who knocked out Dortmund's Der Klassiker rivals in Bayern Munich to make it here. Strange how these things work out, you know? Just a little fun observation for you. Both teams do currently find themselves at the top of their domestic leagues at time of writing. Barca are currently 4 points clear of their closest rivals in Real Madrid, whilst Inter are currently tied on points with Napoli. A big part of Barcelona's success this season is all down to former Leeds United man Rafinha. Just, you know, stew on that for a second. Used to play for Leeds in the Prem. Okay, Rafinha has 53 goals and assists in 49 appearances across all competitions this season, and is one of the leading choices for the Ballon d'Or alongside Dembele with PSG. Absolutely insane form this man is in. It's crazy. Youngster Lamine Yamal has also been lighting things up since bursting onto the scene, and has 36 goals and assists from 47 appearances under his belt this season. These two players, along with many others, have played a big part in Barcelona scoring 89 goals in the Liga this season, which is by far the most of any other side in the division. Not surprisingly, we got Rafinha in the team though. Inter Milan may not have been as prolific a goal scorer as their opponents, but have still scored by far the most in Serie A, with Marcus Thuram leading their scoring with 14, and Martinez not far behind with 12 in the league. For reference, Thuram has 26 goals and assists, and Martinez 27 in all competitions this season. So they're not putting up these massive numbers like the likes of Rafinha and Yamal, but they're still doing good, They're still contributing to the side, and together they're a force to be reckoned with. Unfortunately for the Italians though, Thuram has been suffering from a muscle injury recently, so it's a very slight possibility that he may miss out. I really don't know, to be honest. I imagine he'll be fine. Got a couple more days to get that muscle working again. He'll be fine. I'm sure he's going to play in before he has a career-ending injury that I have no idea about. Blame FootMob, guys. That's where I'm getting my injury information from. Much like the aforementioned Arsenal and PSG fixture, I feel like it could be quite a close set of fixtures to call, but ultimately I'm going to have to back Barcelona to progress. Barca look like one of the best sides in Europe, as I've said, and with their El Clasico rivals nowhere to be seen in this competition anymore, they look like favourites to win the whole thing, and alongside PSG, I think they will do. But obviously PSG can't win it as well, but I'm saying PSG, Barca final, Barca to win it again. That'd be a great match though. I'm looking forward to that. If my predictions become correct, that could be a corker. Don't get me wrong, Inter Milan are a good side, but I think this Barcelona team is just much better. I'm expecting a good set of games here. I think both sides will aim to play some good football, and I'd argue that neither side has a manager who likes to play some terrorist ball, so hopefully that counts for something and we can see some good football between these two European giants. I'm backing Barca to progress to set up a Barcelona PSG final in Munich, and I think that could be box office. So fingers crossed I get these two predictions correct. Please, I need to see this game. Oh my god, it could be amazing. But yes, I've been O2GT, and that has been my predictions for the Champions League semi-final. Looking forward to it. Not so much watching Arsenal play, but the other teams look pretty good, so they should be playing some good football. And hopefully we see the boys from Paris and the boys from Catalonia progress. But yeah, who do you think will progress? Please leave a comment down below. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.